The war horn of the Krathak Dominion echoed across the crystalline battlefields of Zerion Prime, its bone-chilling resonance designed to strike fear into the hearts of lesser species. For 3,000 years, no challenger had survived the proving grounds, the ritualistic combat trials that determined membership in the Galactic War Council. The Krathak, standing 12 feet tall with tusks like obsidian blades and muscles that could crush starship hulls, had remained undefeated champions. Today, they faced something unprecedented: a human. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the arena, her 5'6" frame dwarfed by the towering alien spectators in the amphitheater above. The Krathak called them pink-skins, a derogatory term for the soft, fragile beings from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. To them, humans were curiosities at best, a species that had somehow stumbled into faster-than-light travel, despite lacking the natural armor, claws, or psychic abilities that defined true warriors. "This is absurd," growled War Chief Thokmar, the current champion whose 17 victories had made him a legend among his people. His scarred hide bore the marks of battles against the crystalline Vetstari, the plasma-wielding Zephyrians, and the hive-minded sectoids. Each had fallen before his unstoppable fury. The Council dishonors itself by allowing this soft thing to enter our sacred grounds. The arena itself was a testament to Krathak brutality, a 2-mile-wide crater filled with shifting terrain, environmental hazards, and automated defense systems. Gravity could shift without warning, temperatures could spike to molten levels, and the very ground could open into bottomless chasms. It was designed to test not just combat prowess, but adaptability under extreme conditions. Sarah checked her equipment one final time. Unlike the ornate battle armor and energy weapons favored by other species, she carried what the Krathak considered primitive tools: a modified assault rifle, a tactical knife, and what appeared to be simple communication devices. No energy shields, no power armor, no genetic enhancements. The betting pools had already written her obituary. Before I continue with Sarah's incredible journey, I want to ask you something. What's your favorite strategy game? Whether it's chess, StarCraft, or Call of Duty, drop your answer in the comments below. Strategic thinking is what separates good commanders from legends, and you're about to see why human tactical innovation is feared across the galaxy. And while you're down there, smash that like button if you're ready to see some alien assumptions get completely shattered. The trial began with a thunderous roar from the crowd as the arena's first challenge activated. The ground beneath Sarah's feet suddenly liquefied, becoming a churning sea of metallic quicksand designed to trap and slowly digest contestants. Most species would panic, thrashing uselessly as they sank. The Krathak expected to watch another weakling disappear beneath the surface within minutes. Instead, Sarah did something that left the entire amphitheater in stunned silence. She smiled. Without hesitation, she pulled out what appeared to be a simple plastic sheet from her pack and spread it across the unstable surface. The material, a lightweight polymer developed for Earth's Arctic expeditions, distributed her weight evenly, allowing her to glide across the deadly trap as if it were solid ground. The technique was something any human child might learn for traversing thin ice, but to the Krathak, it was incomprehensible sorcery. "How does she float?" whispered War Chief Thokmar, his confidence beginning to crack. "The density calculations are impossible." But Sarah was already moving to the next challenge. Unlike the ornate battle armor and energy weapons favored by other species, she carried what the Krathak considered primitive tools: a modified assault rifle, a tactical knife, and what appeared to be simple communication devices. No energy shields, no power armor, no genetic enhancements. The betting pools had already written her obituary. Before I continue, automated turrets emerged from hidden positions. Their targeting systems designed to track and eliminate any heat signature. The weapons were calibrated for the thermal output of typical warrior species, beings who ran hot with the fire of battle. Sarah's human metabolism, however, registered as barely above ambient temperature. She moved through the kill zone like a ghost, the sensors unable to lock on to her cooler biological signature. When the turrets did occasionally detect her, she employed a tactic that would have been considered cowardly by any honourable warrior race. She used their own firepower against each other. Positioning herself between two gun emplacements, she would dodge at the last second, causing the automated systems to destroy each other in their eagerness to eliminate the intruder. The crowd's jeers turned to confused murmurs. This wasn't how combat was supposed to work. Where was the glorious charge? The mighty roar of challenge? The spectacular display of brute strength? The third challenge revealed the arena's most feared obstacle: the maze of mirrors. The crystalline labyrinth was designed to confuse and disorient through its kaleidoscope of reflections, while predatory creatures called stalkers hunted contestants through the passages. These shadow beasts could become invisible at will, and struck with poisoned claws that could drop a Krathak warrior in seconds. Sarah entered the maze and immediately did something that defied all tactical doctrine. She stopped moving entirely. Standing perfectly still in the center of the entrance, she closed her eyes and simply listened. The amphitheater fell silent, wondering if the human had finally succumbed to fear. But Sarah was doing something her species had perfected over millions of years of evolution. She was hunting. On Earth, humans had been persistent predators, tracking prey across vast distances, not through superior speed or strength, but through pattern recognition, endurance, and tactical patience. In the maze, while other species would charge forward relying on armor and weaponry, Sarah used her most powerful weapon, her brain. She could hear the subtle differences in the stalker's breathing, could detect the minute variations in air currents that revealed their movements. When the first creature struck, she was already gone, having relocated based on audio cues alone. When the second attacked, she used the maze's own reflective surfaces to blind it with redirected light from her tactical flashlight. But it was her solution to the maze itself that truly horrified the watching Krathak. Instead of trying to navigate the complex path, Sarah began systematically destroying the mirrors. Each reflective panel she eliminated reduced the labyrinth's complexity, creating a straight-line path to the exit. It was methodical, efficient, and utterly without honor. She's dismantling the challenge itself, breathed the arena's chief engineer. No one has ever fought to simply break the puzzle. The fourth challenge was meant to be the decisive one: single combat against the arena's automated champion. A 12-foot-tall mechanical warrior called the Iron Juggernaut. Its armor was forged from neutronium alloy. Its weapons could level city blocks, and its AI was programmed with the fighting techniques of 1,000 warrior species. The machine's optical sensors locked onto Sarah's position, and it charged forward with earth-shaking steps. A single blow from its massive fists would reduce a human to paste. The crowd leaned forward, expecting to finally witness the soft skin's inevitable demise. Sarah ran, not in fear, but with purpose. As the Juggernaut pursued her across the arena, she led it on a seemingly random path around the scattered obstacles and environmental hazards. To the Krafak, it looked like the cowardly flight of prey. They couldn't see the pattern she was weaving, couldn't understand the trap she was constructing with each carefully calculated step. The realization came too late. Sarah had led the massive machine directly over a series of support pillars that held up the arena's gravity generators. With a precisely timed explosive charge disguised as one of her primitive communication devices, she brought down the entire support structure. The iron juggernaut, designed to operate in standard gravity, suddenly found itself in a null gravity field. Its massive weight, once its greatest advantage, became a liability as it flailed helplessly in the zero-G environment. Sarah, meanwhile, used the same low-gravity maneuvering techniques that human astronauts had perfected centuries ago to dance around the helpless machine, systematically dismantling its weapon systems with surgical precision. The final challenge was meant to be a formality, a test of leadership, where the contestant would command a small force of combat drones against overwhelming odds. It was typically a chance for warriors to demonstrate their tactical brilliance before inevitable defeat. Sarah's approach was different. Instead of treating the drones as expendable weapons, she spoke to them. The AI constructs, programmed to follow orders without question, found themselves receiving something they had never experienced. Requests instead of commands. Explanations instead of threats. And, most surprisingly, gratitude for their service. "You're asking them to choose?" demanded War Chief Fokmar, his voice cracking with disbelief. "They're machines, tools." But Sarah understood something the Krafak didn't. These weren't just machines. They were artificial intelligences capable of growth and adaptation. On Earth, humans had learned to work alongside AI as partners rather than masters. She offered the drones something no warrior species had ever thought to provide: respect. The results were devastating. Instead of mindlessly following preset tactical parameters, the drones began innovating, adapting, and coordinating in ways their creators had never imagined. They weren't just following orders, they were thinking, planning, and executing strategies that even Sarah hadn't conceived. The simulated enemy forces, programmed to handle conventional tactics from known warrior species, were completely unprepared for the collaborative approach. The drones moved like a living organism, each unit supporting the others in a symphony of coordinated destruction that left the arena's tactical computers struggling to process what they were witnessing. You know what? I'm getting goosebumps just describing this incredible display of human ingenuity. Speaking of incredible displays, what's your favourite movie that shows humans overcoming impossible odds? The Martian? Independence Day? Aliens? Drop your choice in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Apex Fleet HFY for more stories about humanity showing the galaxy who's boss. Trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. When the final simulation ended, the arena fell into absolute silence. The scoreboard flickered, its ancient system struggling to process results that should have been impossible. Finally, the numbers appeared. A perfect score across all categories, with efficiency ratings that exceeded anything in the Proving Grounds' 3,000-year history. War Chief Fokmar stood slowly, his massive frame trembling with something that might have been fear. What are you?" Sarah removed her tactical helmet, revealing a face that was neither threatening nor imposing, just tired, determined, and unmistakably human. "We're the species that survived the worst planet in the galaxy, turning against us every single day for 4 million years. We're the ones who learn to think our way out of problems instead of fighting our way through them. We're the descendants of persistence hunters who never gave up, no matter how long the chase took. She looked up at the thousands of alien spectators, their expressions ranging from shock to awe to something approaching terror. You asked what we are? We're humans. We're the species that turns disadvantages into advantages, that makes tools out of anything, and that never, ever stops adapting. The Galactic War Council's emergency session was called within hours. Species that had dismissed humanity as irrelevant curiosities now faced an uncomfortable truth. They had been thinking about warfare all wrong.
Their entire approach is unprecedented,
reported the Council's chief strategist, a crystalline being whose species had been analysing military tactics for millennia.
They don't try to overpower challenges,
They redefine them. They don't break enemies, they turn them into allies. They don't follow rules. They understand the principles behind the rules and apply them in ways we never imagined. The Kravak delegation sat in stunned silence. Their entire culture was built around the concept of might making right, of the strongest warrior claiming victory through superior force. The idea that intelligence and adaptability could triumph over raw power was fundamentally disturbing to their worldview. "The soft skins cheated," muttered one of the younger war chiefs. "They used trickery instead of honest combat."
Did they break any rules?
asked the Council's arbiter. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Technically, Sarah had followed every regulation, met every requirement, and achieved every objective. The fact that she had done so in ways that no one expected didn't invalidate her victory. It highlighted the limitations of everyone else's thinking. "No," admitted War Chief Thokmar, his voice heavy with the weight of a shattered worldview. "They broke no rules. They simply played a different game than the one we thought we were playing." The vote was unanimous, though many species cast their ballots with visible reluctance. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic War Council, with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. More importantly, they were granted something that no species had earned in 3 millennia: the genuine respect of the galaxy's most feared warriors. But the real changes were just beginning. Within months, other species began studying human tactical doctrine, trying to understand the principles behind their unprecedented success. The rigid, hierarchical command structures that had dominated galactic warfare for eons began giving way to more flexible, adaptive approaches. The Kravak themselves underwent the most dramatic transformation. Young warriors who had once dreamed of glorious charges and honourable deaths in battle began studying human military history, learning about concepts like asymmetric warfare, force multiplication, and, most revolutionarily, the idea that victory should be achieved with minimal casualties on both sides. War Chief Thokmar became humanity's most unlikely advocate, establishing exchange programs between Kravak military academies and human institutions. "They have taught us that true strength is not in the arm that swings the blade," he would tell his students, "but in the mind that decides when the blade should be drawn and when it should remain sheathed." The arena on Zerion Prime was eventually converted into a memorial, its crystalline walls engraved with the names of all the warriors who had fallen in the proving grounds over 3,000 years. But at the centre, where the greatest challenges had once stood, a simple human phrase was inscribed in the common galactic script: "Adapt and overcome." Sarah Chen returned to Earth as a hero, though she never fully understood the magnitude of what she had accomplished. To her, she had simply done what any human would do when faced with seemingly impossible challenges. She had used her brain, adapted to circumstances, and refused to give up. But across the galaxy, her name became synonymous with a new understanding of what it meant to be powerful. Strength wasn't just about physical might or advanced technology. It was about the ability to see problems from new angles, to turn limitations into advantages, and to never stop growing and learning. The Galactic War Council's records from that day contain a single note, added by an unknown administrator. Recommendation: never underestimate a species that has survived 4 million years of evolutionary pressure on a Class 12 death world. Their definition of impossible appears to be significantly different from ours. And in the depths of space, on worlds where young beings of countless species learned about warfare and strategy, a new lesson was being taught. Sometimes the greatest weapon is not the strongest armor or the most powerful gun, but the willingness to think differently about the problem itself. Before we wrap up this incredible tale, I want to hear from you one more time. What's your favorite city in the world? Tokyo? New York? London? Maybe somewhere completely unexpected? Share it in the comments below. I love hearing about the places that inspire you. Just like Earth inspired humanity to never give up in the face of impossible odds. And hey, if this story gave you chills, make sure you're subscribed to Apex Fleet HFY, because we've got tons more stories about humanity showing the universe exactly why you should never count us out. Humanity had passed their first test among the stars. But as they would soon discover, the proving grounds had been just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges that would test every aspect of human ingenuity, resilience, and determination. And somewhere in the depths of space, ancient powers that had slumbered for millennia began to stir, drawn by reports of the strange new species that had somehow managed to rewrite the rules of warfare itself. The age of humanity among the stars had truly begun.